Hello, it's day 29, and I want to talk about binge eating. Okay, disclaimer again before I start because I am not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. All I have is my own personal experience with eating and binge eating. Okay, if you're having trouble with binge eating, you need to go talk to a doctor. I don't have the answers for you. I just want to discuss what I noticed today. So I'm still in the middle of the weekend. It's Sunday, it's also Easter, so there was a lot of very high calorie, high density food to be had today. There were hamburgers and bratwurst and cupcakes and candy and just any kind of food, very high in fat, very high in calories that you could possibly want. So today was a prime binge day for me, but I don't feel like I binged. I did overeat, but it was not a binge. And you may be asking me, Kara, what is the difference? Well, for me, it's that zombie feeling. When I overeat, I'm making a conscious decision to go get more food. Like, I'm thinking to myself, oh, the cupcake was very good, but now the family has gotten out the ice cream, so I'm going to have some ice cream as well. A binge, on the other hand, is an autopilot response. It almost feels like broken computer programming. If you have a computer and you input something, like if A is true, then proceed to B. If B is true, then proceed to A. You're going to create a loop. And that's what a binge feels like to me. If there is food, eat the food. If the food was good, return for more food. Do you see what I mean? For me, it's very much a feedback that I don't even think about. I've gotten to the point in my life where food is in every part of my day. It's in every aspect of my day. There is never a part of my day that cannot be improved. In quotation marks. There is no part of my day that cannot be improved by food. I think that would feel like a foreign concept to normal eaters. The idea that playing video games, great, fun, would be better with food. Just got back from the gym? Great! I feel awesome. Would be better with food. Oh, got to work? This sucks. You know what would make it better? Food. It is a very strange thought process. It's something that I've dealt with since I was a little girl. And it was odd today because today was a day I overate, but it was not a day I binged, if that makes sense. I never got to the point where I was just mindlessly eating. When I say mindlessly eating, I mean when I am in the middle of a binge, it is like my mind is blank. It is like I have achieved some sort of twisted enlightenment, because all that exists when I am binging is myself, my feelings, and the food. And I really do think that for myself, at least, the key to ending a binge isn't to try to head it off. If I try to stop a binge before it happens, I end up crashing in a way that can take days to recover from. It almost feels like a hangover if I don't allow myself to binge when I'm feeling incredibly emotional. The only thing that helps when I'm in the middle of a binge is to try to break the binge. This is also a very difficult thing to do. I've only been able to do it successfully, I would say maybe 30 or 40% of the time I catch myself binging. Essentially, it involves breaking the feedback loop, doing something different. And the only way I can do it is by changing something in my environment. For example, when I'm at home, 100% of my binges occur at my desk. So if I change something about my desk, it can break me out of that binge cycle. Like, let's say I go up to the kitchen and I get way too much pizza. I pile up the pizza like really, really high. If I come downstairs and I notice, for example, my books are on the other side of my desk, sometimes that can be enough to break me out of the binge, because then I have to move the books to put my plate down. And for some reason, that action of picking up moving books in order to place plate instead of being able to just place plate, for some reason that makes me think about what I'm doing. It's so simple, and yet it doesn't always work. At work, speaking of work, my binges at work only occur if other people aren't around. I have a huge aversion to eating in front of people. So if there are people around me all day, I will not binge at work. But when people leave, if they leave me alone, if I'm the one just manning the post with nobody else, I will eat everything. And the thing that triggers me to eat that is being alone. I could be having a really good day. I could be doing everything right in a day, but if everybody leaves, it's like I have to binge. I haven't figured out how to break that cycle because things change at work so often. I have a very volatile working environment. When I catch myself binging at work, it's on the way to the candy shelf. I feel like if I can get better about catching my binges, I would be able to break them more often. I feel like challenging the binge without judging it is also very important for me. In the past, when I've caught myself binging, when I notice that I'm doing it, I would beat myself up, be like, oh God, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're doing this again, you're disgusting, and that voice very much came from people in my life who were not exactly on my side when it came to health and wellness. People who judged me very, very harshly and probably, well, I don't want to talk about them, but I'll talk about them some. I'm going to talk about those people in depth someday, but I'm not going to do it right now. But I've noticed that the thing that is much more helpful than beating myself up over the binge is to just give myself permission to step back from it for a moment. I think this is something I learned from intuitive eating, actually. It's very hard to explain because the mindset is a little bit strange and disordered, I think. But I've noticed that I have a lot more success in stopping a binge if I tell myself that I am allowed to binge, if that makes sense at all. I never revoke permission for the binge. And I found that a lot of times, if I tell myself, you know what, you can start the binge back up anytime you want, a lot of times I won't start it back up. A lot of times that's enough to break the cycle for the day. The problem is, I don't think that changing my environment is going to address the core problem I have. The core problem of not being able to deal emotionally with anything in my life without food. It's very easy to get caught up in the idea that you have to do everything perfectly all the time. So all in all, I had a bad weekend this weekend. It was a bad weekend, but I think I had some success on the weight loss front. I didn't lose as much progress as I usually do. Let's put it that way. I'm ready to start this week. And I'm also ready to hopefully catch my binges before they spiral out of control this week. I just want to end today. Again, I know I put a disclaimer at the beginning, but I want to end today by saying if you are suffering from binge eating disorder, I really do want you to go out and get some help. Like, I really want you to tell somebody about it. And it's kind of one of those do as I say, not as I do things, because unfortunately for me, there really is no one who can help, and I don't really have access to a doctor or a therapist. But if you have any way of getting those things, I really want you to do it. If I had access to those things, if I had the ability to just go off and spill my guts to someone, I would definitely do it. So if this is something you're struggling with, please go off into the world and fix it, because trust me, especially if you're in your teens or 20s, because trust me, it does not get better with time. So just So just go find some peace. And I will see you tomorrow.